Welcome to the Crochet Hangout. I'm Kendra, and today we will be making the carrot treat sack. This treat sack is a great last-minute addition to an Easter basket, or you could use it in place of one. This carrot will make anybody smile and is made with a minimal amount of yarn. The pattern is simple and involves an increasing mesh pattern. To make your own carrot treat sack, you will need Red Heart Super Saver in the colors carrot and patty green, as well as a crochet hook. This is a size J 6.0 millimeter ergonomic handled hook. You can use a regular metal hook if you prefer. Age is not really important to this pattern. Just make sure that you're happy with the size of your mesh. Remember, if you use a bigger hook, the holes in your mesh will be larger, which means that small items might fall out. However, if you use a hook size that is too small for the yarn, you might notice that your carrot is slightly misshapen. To get your own copy of the Carrot Treat Sack printable pattern, you can head over to www.crochethangout.com, where you'll find patterns, tutorials, and more. Carrot Treat Sack is worked in joined rounds, and we're going to begin with color A, which is our carrot. We're going to begin by making a slip knot, which is formed by wrapping the yarn around our two fingers, sliding the hook in, drawing up a loop, and tightening. Now that we're hooked onto our hook, we're going to begin by chaining 2. Then we're going to put 8 double crochets into the second chain from our hook. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook, making sure we have both that front and back loop on top of our hook. We're going to yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through 2 loops. That's our first double crochet created. We're going to do this until we have a total of 8 double crochets. I recommend counting that you do have 8 stitches, because if you're off right now, it'll put the whole pattern off. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. We're just going to slip stitch in the top of our first stitch to join. Moving on to round 2, we're going to begin by chaining 1. That does not count as a stitch in this round or throughout the rest of our pattern. Now we're going to double crochet in each stitch around, which is going to give us a total of 8 stitches at the end of our round, and we're going to slip stitch to join. I'll meet you at the end of round 2. So now to begin round 3, we're going to chain 1 again, and we're going to double crochet chain 1 around our piece. So we're going to double crochet, chain 1, and then we're going to continue this pattern. You double crochet in each stitch and then chaining 1. It's going to give us a total of 8 repeats of our double crochet chain 1. At the end of the round, we're just going to slip stitch to join. I'll meet you at the end of this round. Round 4 also begins the chain 1. Then we're going to double crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space below, and we're going to repeat this around the entire piece. We're just going to double crochet, chain 1, skip the chain space below. And we're going to slip stitch to join at the end of our round. I'll meet you at the end of round 4. Now we're about to begin round 5. We're going to begin with a chain 1. Then we're going to double crochet in that first stitch. We're going to chain 1 and double crochet in the chain 1 space. Next we're going to chain 1 and double crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the chain 1 space. And we're going to just repeat that pattern around the rest of our carrot. So you're going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in your chain 1 space, chain 1, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, and skip your chain 1 space. You're going to repeat this till the end of the round where you're going to slip stitch to join. I'll meet you to begin round 6. Round 6 is simply going to be a repeat of round 4's instructions, which was to chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space. So you're basically going to put a stitch into each stitch and a chain above each chain 1 space all the way around, ending with a slip stitch at the end. I'll meet you at the end of round 6. We're going to begin round 7 by chaining 1. We're going to double crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, double crochet into the chain 1 space. Next, we're going to chain 1 and skip this stitch. We're going to double crochet in this chain 1 space. We're going to chain 1. We're going to double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip this next chain 1 space. Then we're going to repeat the sequence again. The sequence is double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip that chain 1 space. Continue this around, ending with a slip stitch at the end of your round. I'll meet you here to explain the rest of our carrot. Now we're moving on to round 8, which is just going to be another repeat of round 4's pattern, which is a chain 1. We're going to double crochet, chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, skip our chain 1 space. You're going to continue in this manner around your carrot and slip stitch in your first stitch. You're going to repeat this for rounds 8 through 15. I'm going to perform an abbreviated version, so I am just going to do round 8, and I'll meet you here to show you what you're going to do in round 16. At this point, you're going to want to pause and make sure you complete rounds 8 through 15. I'll be back in just a minute. I am at the end of round 8. You are going to want to continue until the end of round 15. So round 16 is going to begin with a chain 1, and then we're going to put a single crochet in the top of each double crochet and each chain 1 space. The top of the double crochet, the top of the chain 1 space. And you're going to continue in this manner around the entire carrot. This is just finishing off your edge and giving us a nice place to join our leaves. Ultimately, this top row of mesh is going to become where you're going to run your tie through to cinch your sack shut. So I will meet you at the end of round 16 to show you how we're going to switch to our green and add our leaves. So once you finish that round, you're just going to join and fasten off. This is just the amount of yarn I had left. You will probably want to leave a slightly longer tail for weaving in your ends. Now we're moving on to using color B, which is our patty green. We're going to join this with a slip stitch. Simply going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I'm going to drop the tail to the back, yarn over and pull up a loop. Just make sure everything is nice and snug. Now we're going to chain 1. We're going to single crochet. Then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. At this point, we're going to chain 18, Then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch that's available. And pull that tight. Now we're going to put a single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat this sequence, beginning with a single crochet, a slip stitch, we're going to chain 18, slip stitch in the next available stitch, and then single crochet. You're going to do this all the way around, and that's going to create your leaves on the top. You'll end up with 8 of the loops when you're done. Slip stitch at the end, yarn over, pull through to fasten off your green, trim your yarn, and weave in all your ends. The final step in our carrot treat sack is to make the tie, which cinches our carrot shut at the top. As you can see here, I've just used some more of the orange to make our tie. I've woven it through, and it's what helps create that carrot shape. We're going to be with a simple slip knot. We're just going to wrap the orange around our finger, slide the hook in, draw up a loop, and pull tight. Now that we're attached to our hook, we're just going to chain 64. "64 seems to be a nice number for being able to make a substantial enough bow, but without wasting much yarn. If you feel really strongly about it, you could make a tie where after doing your chains, you go back and slip stitch along the edges. This will make your tie a little bit more substantial and a little more sturdy, but in the case of a treat sack like this, I saw that as just a waste of yarn because a simple chained tie will do just fine. So when we're all done, you're going to just pull through your loop, and we're going to cut the end of our yarn. As you can see, you just have a chained section of yarn. What I like to do at the end of each end is just tie several small, very tight knots right up against the edge of your chain. This will help keep everything in place, but without going to any extra hassle. I find that this holds things in place just as well as weaving in the ends, sometimes better, because if you weave in the ends, they sometimes pop out on this particular chained procedure. So, after you've tied your knots at the end, and I would tie 2 or 3 at the end of each. You're all done with that. You're just gonna take your scissors and you're gonna trim very close to your knot. You can see there's just a little bitty tail there, just enough to hold everything in place, but without making it look messy. Then you take your tie and you're going to weave it in along this top row of mesh. So undo this one and show you. So as you can see, I've just taken the tie. I picked anywhere that you're happy with. You're gonna go in and then come back out. Go in and out, all the way around. If you have the right number of mesh spaces, you should end up with both of your ties on the outside of your bag. And at that point, you can just stick whatever you want inside and cinch it shut. Here we have our finished carrot treat sack. Please remember, if you'd like to get your own copy of the printable pattern, you can head over to www.crochethangout.com, where you will find patterns, tutorials, and more. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time. Bye!